Aye, did you see the Resident Evil Netflix show that they produced?
I think I got to the part which was about 5 minutes into the first episode where they mentioned all these fucking white people in this neighborhood, and I got up and went out to go for a smoke, and then I came back and sat down and saw Black Wesker.
Yeah.
Man, and I was like, I think me and my missus, I always do this. I'm going to give it a fair shake. I'm going to give it a fair shake type thing. I got to the end of the first episode, and I think I got a little bit into the second, and I just went like, "This is fucking stupid." And I'm like that fucking flashbacks to high school bullying crap. I was like, I'm immediately disinterested in this. It was so bad.
Oh,
It was just
can I
horrendous.
show you something? Like, because I don't know how
Yes.
far you got into it. But I'm gonna see if I can.
Right. Go on.
I'm
Go
gonna
on.
show you this. It was Lance Reddick. Basically, you get to see him later on when he's in full on Wesker mode. Because like when you first get him, he's he's kind of just like a father. You know, he's not
Yeah.
really recognizable as what Wesker's going to be. But all right, brace yourself.
Oh, sweet Jesus! It's fucking
Did,
Blade.
yeah.
That's just Blade. I know, man. Like I'm expecting to hear that fucking techno tune, that fucking do, like that, man. That is just Blade. That's Wesley Snipes.
Frost.
Like that's fucking terrible. That's so
Because the thing
fucking
is,
stupid.
Lance Reddick's a cool guy, right? But he's got
Yeah.
a very different kind of coolness than Wesley Snipes, and so trying to put him in like the
Yes.
sunglasses and the leather trench coat and stuff, that's not really what he does, you
Nah,
know?
I've seen him in a few things, and I don't think Albert Wesker was a role he was supposed to have. Because Albert Wesker's like the cheesy '90s like villain, like with this fucking slip back, fucking like blonde hair and everything. He looks like he would be in any other position. He would be a fucking hedge fund manager with a
Yeah.
cocaine addiction. Like that's what he looks like. But fucking nah, it doesn't. It does not fucking work at all. But I made it one episode, and I just thought like this is fucking garbage. It was not interested, and just
I
stopped.
had to suffer through to the end because like I was going to review it and I thought I need to give it a fair shake, and fucking hell, it was painful. And
Yeah,
funnily enough, yeah, it was cancelled after one season. So who could have predicted this?
that's happening a
But
lot. Have you noticed? Have you noticed that
yes,
is happening a hell of a lot? People are starting to realize shit. I think people are wanting good films and good TV
I
shows
know.
because they're not watching this shit.
Who could have predicted this? It's like we've we instead of lecturing people about present day social issues in a fucking medieval fantasy series or you know sci-fi horror whatever, how about we just write a good story and just have some fun with it? That's
Ban
crazy.
liberal arts students from the writers' room. Just ban
Yeah.
them. Just don't let them fucking in. And not man,
Hmm.
because they're interested in being little fucking activists and not actually. How can we make the movie good? No, how can I make the movie spread my message?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Did
Fuck
you
off. Get another job.
did you hear anything about She-Hulk when it was out
I never
at
even
all?
bothered watching it. I saw people talking about it and shitting all over it, but I try and do this. Oh, I'm going to watch it, and maybe it's something I'll actually enjoy. And I saw like the twerking scene, and I just went, "That's fucking." I saw gifs of the twerking on like Twitter, and I just went, Nah, I'm not interested." And then I saw the whole fucking that whole scene where she's like, "Men whistle at me when I go down the street. I'm shut the fuck up, you dumb bitch." Like, so and
Yeah.
it control my temper, and I'm like, "Shut up." Like that immediately disinterested me. I haven't seen a single episode, haven't watched it. I've
Well,
just seen clips.
just to give you a little bit of context, what happens in the final episode, right? Like it's set up to be your typical Marvel thing where all the heroes and villains face off against each other and everyone just
Ah,
shows
right.
up for a big rumble. And then she bursts out of her own show and goes into like Marvel headquarters and demands that they change it because she's like, this is shite, it doesn't make any sense. Um, and yeah, I want a different show where like people take accountability for their actions, and I just thought, you fucking arsehole, like
Oh my
you've
god.
literally not taken accountability for a single thing you've done throughout the whole show. But I guess those rules just apply to someone else, and I just thought it was funny because The bad guys in
So
this
they did
are
like a full fourth wall break.
yeah. Like
Fuck's
it,
sake.
it basically seems to skip out to the Disney Plus screen, the home screen with all the different Marvel TV shows and stuff, and then she like kicks her way out of the She-Hulk panel
Oh
and
my
like
god.
climbs down into something else. Um, but like the showrunners did an interview afterwards, and they were like, yeah, the real enemies in this, the bad guys, are internet trolls who
Oh my
criticize our
god.
show. And I
Mm.
just thought, how interesting is it that you knew your show was so shite that people were going to absolutely pile in on it? And instead of just thinking, you know what, we'll just make a good show, they thought, nah, the best way to tackle this is we're going to do a fourth wall break and attack them directly and, pile in on them for daring to criticize what we've made.
It's like
It's an interesting approach.
we made a giant pile of shit, and we knew you were going to call it a giant pile of shit, so it doesn't count.
That's all it is,
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, that's fucking stupid.
It's like
Oh.
just acknowledging like a criticism or a problem doesn't make it go away. You haven't addressed it. You've just said,
Yeah.
I've preempted it, so haha, joke's on you.
I knew you
Like,
were going to
well,
be.
it's
I
not.
actually knew you were going to be angry after I punched you in the face, so you can't be angry at me. It's like that. That's not how that fucking works. Like, it's
This is where we're at though. Like, it goes
yeah,
back to what you said. For the writers that they hire now are activists first, and freeloaders second, and writers like a distant fifth or
yeah.
something. Like they don't care about storytelling or anything or telling any kind of good story, good entertainment. They just care about their message that they want to inject into it.
It's just propaganda stuff, and I think it's happening because you're seeing shows getting cancelled left and right. Apparently, I don't quote me on this, but apparently, was it Warner Brothers? But they wrote off like was it Batwoman or something? They just went, we're not
Batgirl, yeah.
Batgirl. We're not even going to release it. We're just going to put it down as a tax write off, and fucking that can disappear into the fucking ether for all we care. Apparently, they're going to do it. What was it like 32 billion worth of projects? We're going to get the same fucking treatment. I don't quote me on that. I might have that number completely wrong.
No, it's
But
not 32 billion, but it's a lot of projects because Warner Brothers is pretty strapped for cash, and they basically run the numbers. And it's like, well, to release this movie, say Batgirl, for example, cost $90 million to make, so that's $90 million down the shitter. But it would have cost another 90 million to promote it once they released it, and so they thought to themselves, well, we're never going to make that back anyway. So it's cheaper actually to just shit can the entire thing and not even release the thing. And that's what they've done. But like they've gone in a whole new direction now, and they've released movies like Black Adam, which is nah, but it's got no messaging in it. It's got no woke stuff in it. It's just a generic superhero movie, and I think that's what they're aiming for now.
it started hurting the bottom line fucking everywhere, by the way. Like this whole woke
It has.
activist fucking shit, like fucking Netflix's stock kept fucking up because they kept getting into controversies. And the problem is like it's the same. It's the thing is that like they're not just going and making their own shows. They're going and taking stuff like Resident Evil and just taking a great big steaming shit all over it. And then basically, if you go into someone's house and break all their fucking stuff, they're going to be fucking angry at you. Right, but instead these people try and use it as like marketing, like, haha, we destroyed something the trolls loved and the trolls got mad about it. That's how good our show is. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I've talked about this. This is they call this like it's fan baiting. It's an
baiting.
actual marketing technique now because what they do is like they'll take over some IP that's popular, they'll announce their casting, and it's like, hey, all these characters that used to be white, they've become like black women or whatever for some reason. Yeah, aren't you mad? Don't you want to protest this? Don't you want to say something about it on the internet? Go ahead, you want to do it. Do it. And so people do naturally, and then they're like, well, that's our actors getting like racist or sexist harassment. That's the kind of toxic fans that are dealing with this thing, and it's all free publicity for their show or their movie.
Yeah, and that's when you
they
get
make.
that's when you get to like members of the cast go like tweeting out, I stand in solidarity with
Yes.
my co-star who got like 2 racist tweets sent to her and stuff like that, and it's just like, oh fucking. Have you ever noticed someone actually worked this out? Whenever you point out that some like celebrities get a bunch of racist tweets, the racist tweets then like increase like tenfold.
Yeah.
and all that. Basically, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Just point it out, and then they'll actually start getting those types of tweets, and then you get proved right.
Yep.
And all that. Like, yeah.
And you know, I'm sure they'd never stoop to the level of using sock puppet accounts to actually manufacture controversy against
Oh,
celebrities that they could then
definitely,
farm
definitely
for
not.
views and attention.
I think that was
would never
something
do
they
that.
noticed. A lot of Twitter accounts that were doing that get made in like the same month that the controversy happened, and you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was weird. That was strange.
but that's what it's become now. But yeah, like you say, it ultimately kills their bottom line because it might get you some short term attention, but it doesn't actually like result in people watching your product or supporting it or whatever.
That happened to basically see that's what happened to places like BuzzFeed and Vice because over the long term they were destroying their reputation. Like, see, and then they started getting rid of the departments that like made the money. So see how like BuzzFeed had like this stuff about white people. There's a message for white people and blah, and like all this crap. Those were getting fuck tons of reach, fuck tons of engagement, fuck tons of money. Right, but those types of articles about this is 10 reasons why white people suck and all that stuff, that was damaging their reputation over a long period of time. So they started going, oh, we're going to shut down like the tech news section, the gaming section, and everything, because even though those were completely fine sections, they weren't making the money. So instead, they put all their focus in all the fucking bait articles, which, you know, worked for a short period of time, but eventually you just completely alienate everyone from ever viewing you. And that's why BuzzFeed are they're fucked now.
Yeah,
They're a fraction of the size that they used to be because they took the short-term high gains instead of, you know, actual longevity. And I think that movie production studios are starting to feel that now. Instead of going out there and rage baiting and going, oh my God, look at all the free press we're getting. You made everyone angry. That's why. If you make people
well, yeah. I
angry
mean,
enough times, they're going to stop watching your stuff.
I've mentioned this before, right? Top Gun Maverick that came out months and months ago was the absolute like, you know, it was the thing that absolutely shattered that illusion that a movie has to be, despite all this like corporate messaging and social activism and stuff. It was like an absolute throwback to the 1980s, like action movies. It's just a bunch of heroic characters doing a heroic thing. It portrays like things like the US military in a positive light. It's got like an aging white male hero who's still awesome at what he does and he doesn't need to be like deconstructed. And people fucking flock to it. It was like giving a bacon sandwich to a starving fucking dire wolf. You know, like that's what it was. It was like finally a fucking movie that's just entertaining and fun, and you come out the theater feeling good about yourself. And it was like that's been an absolute drought of things like that in recent years, and people flocked to it. It made a $1.5 billion, insane amounts of money, and it proved that. And I think it absolutely sent like shockwaves through the industry. People suddenly realized, holy shit, this works. This is what people actually want. They don't want the fake activism. They don't want to be lectured. And we don't need to pander to these fucking morons on Twitter. You know, that's not our audience. It's never been our audience. They just make lots of noise, but they've got no actual power. And the moment you realize that, they fucking vanish into the ether. That's what they need to do.
I'm starting to see it go away because I don't know if I mentioned that, but I think me and you might have spoke about this before. Remember, I talked about the Hays Code in the past. Well, basically, for anyone who doesn't know, the Hays Code was like a series of rules that Hollywood had to obey back in the day. So there was like things like you were not allowed to show mixed race couples, you weren't allowed to show white people as slaves, you weren't allowed to no gay whatsoever at all. Your movie would get shit canned if there was even a hint of that in there. There was so many like rules and regulations that get put into movies, and like if you didn't obey the Hays Code, then you would get your shit pulled out of production. Like people wouldn't work with you, producers wouldn't touch you, none of that stuff. But all that ended up happening was, see, because all movies were preaching this is society, this is the way you should be, activism, in everybody's face, they just tuned out of American movies completely and started watching foreign stuff. And the foreign stuff, like the spaghetti westerns produced over in Italy, it fucking banged. Like everyone wanted to see them. And everyone, you know, the strong male character, blah, 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 and all that type of stuff, who who does some cheeky things, a little bit, where they aren't sure, a bit of an anti-hero because he does stuff that's a little bit dishonest, but deep down he's a good guy. Under the Hays Code, that wasn't allowed. People, like, the main guy had to be pure, had to be a pious and pure man. You weren't allowed anti-heroes, but the American market died. Like, fucking, they couldn't compete with all these foreign films that weren't restricted by these rules. And even though all of this was in the 40s and 50s, like, they made movies to, like, stop a societal shift. Oh, let's stop us shifting into this left-wing liberal fucking weed-smoking hippy-dippy shit, and then the fucking 60s happened anyway. Right? So see how this controlling media to get your political activism, like, through, it doesn't fucking work. Eventually, everyone just tunes out, and society shifts anyway. Like, it doesn't work.
I've always called it the fuck you factor. The more you command, it's true though. The more you command people, like, you have to listen to this point of view. You have to think this way. You have to respect this group of people, or listen to these people, or whatever. The more people just go, fuck you. I'm just going to do the exact opposite just to piss you off because you're being such a dick about it. And that's where it's gone. That's where Hollywood is gone.
I do that as well.
To lecture people so much, and people like Ricky Gervais have articulated it far better than I ever could. Saying, like, you're sitting there in your fucking $1 million mansions lecturing working class people about how they need to do better and live better lives. Fuck you. You people have never endured a single moment of hardship in your entire lives. What right have you got to lecture the rest of us? But that needs to be said, because they're not there to lecture you. They're not there to guide you. They are professional pretenders, as Gary likes to say. They're the court jesters of our world.